Space trouble. The big room was full of strange noises. Aliens from all over the galaxy sat at a round table. They looked worried. In the middle stood Zorax, the Galactic Consul. He was shaking. Zorax was not like other aliens. He had blue skin and 3 eyes. His hands had 6 fingers each. But today, all 6 of his hands were shaking. He looked at the faces around him. Some had tentacles, others had scales. All looked scared. "Friends," Zorax said in a shaky voice, "we have a big problem." The room got quiet. Everyone looked at Zorax. "The war between the Blargans and the Zygots is getting worse," he said. "They are destroying planets. Many people are dying." An alien with big ears spoke up. "We know this, Zorax. Why are you so scared?" Zorax took a deep breath. "Because they are getting close to a planet called Earth." The room filled with gasps. Some aliens stood up. Others fell off their chairs. "Earth?" a green alien shouted. "Not Earth." "Yes," Zorax said. "Earth." The room got loud again. Aliens were yelling and waving their arms or tentacles. Zorax held up his hands. "Please, calm down. We must think." A small alien with big eyes spoke. "But Zorax, the humans don't know about us. They think they're alone in the universe." "I know," Zorax said. "That's why we must keep Earth out of this war." An alien with a long neck asked, "Why?" "They're just humans. They can't hurt us." Zorax shook his head. "You don't understand. Humans are different." He walked to a big screen on the wall. He touched it, and pictures of Earth appeared. "Look," he said, "humans fight all the time. They fight over land, over beliefs, over anything. But when a big enemy comes, they join together. They become very strong." The aliens looked at the pictures. They saw humans building big machines, flying to their moon, making powerful weapons. "But they're so small," someone said. "Their planet is tiny." Zorax nodded. "Yes, but they learn fast. They adapt." In just a few hundred years, they went from horse carts to spaceships. The room was quiet again. Everyone was thinking. "If the Blargans or Zygots find Earth," Zorax said, "they might try to use the humans. They might give them space weapons. Or worse, they might attack Earth." And then, a purple alien asked. Zorax looked sad. "Then the humans will know about us. They will join the war. And everything will change." An alien with 4 arms raised all of them. "So what do we do?" Zorax looked at everyone in the room. "We must keep the war away from Earth. We must protect them." "But how?" many aliens asked. Zorax walked around the table. "We'll make a force field around their solar system. We'll redirect the fighting. We'll do whatever we must." Some aliens nodded. Others looked doubtful. "It won't be easy," Zorax said. "The Blargans and Zygots are powerful, but we must try. For the sake of the galaxy." An old alien stood up slowly. "Zorax is right. I remember the last time humans got involved in a galactic war. It was bad." Everyone looked at the old alien. "What happened?" someone asked. The old alien shook his head. "We don't talk about it, but trust me, we don't want it to happen again." Zorax nodded. "Thank you, wise one. Now, who will help me protect Earth?" Slowly, aliens started to raise their hands, or tentacles, or wings. "Good," Zorax said. "We start now. Every minute counts." As the aliens began to plan, Zorax looked at the picture of Earth on the big screen. It looked so peaceful, so blue. "Don't worry, humans," he whispered. "We'll keep you safe. We'll keep you out of this war, for everyone's sake." The room was busy now. Aliens were talking, planning, working together. But Zorax kept looking at Earth. He knew the real trouble was just beginning. In the darkness of space, far from the busy room, 2 massive fleets were moving. The Blargans and Zygots didn't care about little planets or peaceful races. They only wanted to win, and they were getting closer to Earth every day. Zorax turned away from the screen. He had work to do. The fate of Earth, and maybe the whole galaxy, was in his hands. The space trouble was just starting. Earth doesn't know. While Zorax and the aliens worried in space, life on Earth went on as usual. People woke up, went to work, and lived their lives. They had no idea about the big war in space or the aliens trying to protect them. In New York City, Sarah walked to work. She was a scientist at a big lab. Cars honked, and people rushed by. Sarah thought about her job and what she would do that day. She didn't know that high above, alien ships were hiding behind the moon, watching Earth. At the lab, Sarah met her friend Tom, ready for another day of changing the world. Tom asked with a smile. Sarah laughed. One experiment at a time, Tom. They went inside and put on their white coats. The lab was full of strange machines and computers. Sarah and Tom were working on something big, a new way to make energy without hurting the planet. I think we're close to a breakthrough, Sarah said, looking at some numbers on a screen. Tom nodded. If this works, it could change everything. They didn't know that their work was being watched, not by spies or bad guys, but by aliens far away. The aliens were amazed at how fast humans were learning and growing. On the other side of the world, in a small village in Africa, a young boy named Quain was going to school. He walked down a dusty road with his friends. They laughed and talked about their dreams. One day, I'll build a big machine to help farmers, Quain said. No more dry seasons. His friends cheered. They believed in Quain. He was the smartest kid in school. What Quain didn't know was that his ideas were not far from coming true. In secret labs around the world, scientists were working on weather control. They were getting close to making rain in dry places. Up in space, Zorax watched all of this on big screens. He saw Sarah and Tom in their lab. He saw Quain and his friends walking to school. He saw millions of humans living, working, and dreaming. They have so much potential, Zorax said to his helper, a small robot named Bleep. We must protect them. Bleep made a happy beeping sound. It liked humans too. Just then, an alarm went off. Zorax rushed to another screen. He saw a big Blargan ship moving closer to Earth's solar system. Oh no, Zorax said. They're coming too close. He pushed some buttons and spoke into a microphone. Attention all ships. Move to protect Earth. Don't let the Blargans see it. In space, hundreds of alien ships moved. They formed a big circle around Earth's solar system. From Earth, they looked like stars moving in a strange way. Back on Earth, people noticed something weird in the sky. In Times Square, New York, people stopped to look up. The stars were moving. What's going on? Someone asked. Must be satellites or something, another person said. Nobody thought it might be aliens. Humans still believed they were alone in the universe. In her lab, Sarah saw the moving lights too. Tom, come look at this, she called. Tom came over. They watched the lights dance in the sky. Weird, Tom said. Maybe it's the northern lights. Sarah shook her head. In New York? No way. This is something else. For a moment, Sarah felt like she was on the edge of a big discovery. But then her computer beeped. Their experiment was ready for the next step. Come on, she said to Tom. Let's get back to work. They went back inside, forgetting about the strange lights. In space, Zorax and his team managed to hide Earth from the Blargan ship. It passed by without noticing the little blue planet. Zorax wiped his forehead. That was close, he said. Bleep beeped in agreement. We can't keep doing this forever, Zorax said. Sooner or later, they'll find Earth. And then what? He looked at the screen showing Earth. He saw Sarah and Tom working in their lab. He saw Quain studying hard in school. He saw millions of humans living their lives, not knowing how close they came to being discovered. They're not ready, Zorax said softly. They don't know about the war, about us, about any of it. How can we keep them safe? Bleep made a sad beep. Zorax straightened up. We'll find a way, he said. We have to. The fate of the galaxy depends on it. As night fell on Earth, people went to sleep. They dreamed of their own lives, their own problems and hopes. They didn't dream of space wars or alien protectors. Earth didn't know. And for now, that was how it had to be. But for how long? Alien boss worried. Zorax paced back and forth in his office on the space station. His 3 eyes blinked rapidly, a sure sign he was stressed. Bleep, his robot helper, watched him with concern. I can't take it anymore, Bleep, Zorax said. Every day we come closer to disaster. Bleep beeped questioningly. Zorax stopped pacing and looked at the big screen on the wall. It showed Earth, peaceful and blue. I've learned more about humans, he said. And the more I learn, the more worried I get. He touched the screen, and it changed to show scenes from Earth's history. Zorax had been studying it closely. Look at this, he said to Bleep. Humans fight all the time. They've had 2 world wars, and so many smaller wars. The screen showed battles from different times, soldiers with swords, tanks rolling across fields, planes dropping bombs. Bleep made a sad beep. I know, Zorax said. It's terrible. But that's not what worries me most. He changed the screen again. Now it showed humans working together, building big buildings, launching rockets, helping each other after natural disasters. This is what scares me, Zorax said. When humans work together, they can do amazing things. They went from horse carts to spaceships in just 200 years. Bleep beeped excitedly. Wasn't that a good thing? Zorax shook his head. It's good for humans, yes, but if they join the war, he shuddered, they might tip the balance. They might even win. Just then, an alarm sounded. Zorax rushed to his control panel. Oh no, he said. The Zygots are attacking a Blargan fleet, and they're too close to Earth. He pushed buttons quickly, calling his team. Everyone to your stations. We need to move this fight away from Earth. Now. Zorax's space station came to life. Aliens of all shapes and sizes rushed to their jobs. Some piloted small, fast ships. Others worked on big machines that could move whole fleets. In space, a huge battle was happening. The Zygot ships, which looked like giant squids, were shooting at the Blargan ships, which looked like metal boxes with wings. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. Zorax and his team worked hard. They used their machines to create fake signals, tricking the fighting ships into moving away from Earth. They also put up invisible shields to hide Earth from view. After hours of tense work, the battle moved away. Zorax fell into his chair, exhausted. That was too close, he said to Bleep. Way too close. Bleep beeped in agreement. Zorax looked at the screen showing Earth again. The humans had no idea what had just happened. They were safe, for now. But Zorax knew they couldn't keep this up forever. Sooner or later, Earth would be discovered. And then what? He thought about the wars he had seen in Earth's history. He remembered one in particular, a big war where the whole world fought. World War II, he said softly. Humans called it their biggest war ever. Zorax had studied this war closely. He was amazed by how quickly humans had developed new technologies during the war. They made better planes, powerful bombs, and even secret code-breaking machines. If humans could do all that in just a few years, Zorax said to Bleep, imagine what they could do in a space war. Bleep beeped nervously. Exactly, Zorax said. They might create weapons we've never seen before. They might build ships that could destroy whole planets. He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. The Blargans and Zygots are powerful, he said. But humans are unpredictable. They're creative. They're dangerous. Zorax turned back to Bleep. We have to keep Earth out of this war, he said firmly. not just to protect the humans, but to protect everyone. Just then, another alarm sounded. Zorax rushed back to his control panel. "What now?" he groaned. The screen showed a small Blargan scout ship. It had broken away from the main fleet and was heading straight for Earth. "No, no, no," Zorax shouted. He called his team again. "We have a scout ship heading for Earth. Stop it at all costs." As his team rushed to action, Zorax felt a deep fear in his stomach. The Blargan ship was small and fast. If it reached Earth, it could scan the whole planet before they could stop it. "Please," Zorax whispered to himself. "Please don't let them find Earth. Not now. Not ever." As the space station buzzed with activity, Zorax watched the screen nervously. The little dot representing the Blargan ship got closer and closer to the blue marble that was Earth. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, and Zorax, the worried alien boss, felt the weight of it all on his shoulders. Oh, found Earth. Zorax's heart raced as he watched the small Blargan scout ship zoom towards Earth. His six-fingered hands flew over the control panel, trying to stop the inevitable. "Bleep," he shouted. "Send our fastest ships to intercept." Bleep beeped frantically, relaying orders. Small, speedy ships shot out from Zorax's space station, rushing to catch the Blargan scout. But it was too late. The scout ship entered Earth's atmosphere, its metal hull glowing red-hot. Zorax and his team watched helplessly as it plummeted towards the blue planet. On Earth, it was a quiet night in a small town called Millbrook. Sarah, the scientist from New York, was visiting her parents. She sat on the porch, looking at the stars. Suddenly, a bright light streaked across the sky. "Wow, a shooting star," Sarah exclaimed, but then she frowned. The star was getting bigger, and it was heading straight for the nearby forest. Boom! The ground shook as something crashed in the woods. Sarah jumped to her feet. "That was no shooting star," she muttered. Grabbing a flashlight, she ran towards the forest. In space, Zorax was panicking. "We have to get that ship out of there," he yelled, "before the humans find it." His team scrambled to action. They prepared a rescue mission, but it would take time to reach Earth without being noticed. Meanwhile, Sarah pushed through the dark forest. The smell of burning wood and hot metal filled the air. She broke into a clearing and gasped. There, in a smoking crater, was a sleek silver ship. It was like nothing she had ever seen before. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered. It's a spaceship." Just then, a hatch on the ship opened with a hiss. Sarah ducked behind a tree, her heart pounding. A strange creature emerged. It had scaly green skin and 4 arms. Its head was shaped like a triangle, with one big eye in the center. The alien Blargan looked around, confused and hurt. It hadn't meant to crash. It was just supposed to scan the planet and leave. Sarah watched, amazed and terrified. She wanted to run, but her scientist's curiosity kept her rooted to the spot. The Blargan pulled out a device and started scanning the area. It was collecting data on Earth's atmosphere, plants, and animals. Suddenly, it turned and looked right at Sarah's hiding spot. She held her breath. The alien took a step towards her, then another. Sarah's phone buzzed loudly in her pocket. The alien jumped back, startled. At that moment, bright lights flooded the clearing. The sound of helicopters filled the air. "This is the United States Air Force," a voice boomed. "Do not move." The Blargan panicked. It rushed back to its ship, but the damage from the crash had sealed the door shut. As armed soldiers entered the clearing, the alien raised its 4 arms in surrender. In his space station, Zorax watched the scene unfold on his screens. He slumped in his chair. "It's over," he said quietly. "They found Earth." Bleep beeped sadly. On Earth, things moved quickly. The alien and its ship were taken to a secret military base. World leaders were woken up and told the incredible news. We are not alone in the universe. Sarah was questioned for hours about what she had seen. Scientists from around the world were called in to study the alien and its technology. As dawn broke, Zorax knew he had to act fast. He called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. "Friends," he said to the gathered aliens, "the worst has happened. Earth has been discovered." The room erupted in panic. Aliens shouted and waved their various limbs. Zorax raised his hands for quiet. "We must decide what to do now. The Blargans know about Earth. Soon, the Zygots will too." And then, he didn't need to finish. Everyone knew what it meant. Earth would be drawn into the war. Back on Earth, in the secret base, the Blargan alien was trying to communicate. It drew symbols on a piece of paper, trying to warn the humans about the war. Sarah, who had been brought in as a consultant, studied the drawings. "I think," she said slowly, "it's trying to tell us about a war in space." The military generals looked at each other, worried. If there was a war out there, Earth needed to be ready. Around the world, governments began secret programs to develop space weapons. They studied the alien ship, trying to understand its technology. In New York, Tom waited anxiously in their lab. Sarah had been gone for days, with no explanation. The TV played in the background, showing strange reports of lights in the sky and military activity. Tom felt like something big was happening, something that would change everything. He was right. In space, Zorax made a difficult decision. "We can no longer hide," he told his team. "We must make contact with Earth. We must warn them about the war and offer our protection." Bleep beeped a question. Zorax sighed. "No, I don't know how they'll react. But we have no choice now. Earth has been found, and the galaxy will never be the same." As Zorax prepared to reveal himself to humanity, the people of Earth went about their day, unaware that their world was about to change forever. The space trouble had come to Earth, and it was just the beginning. Everyone's talking. The world woke up to incredible news. Aliens were real, and one had crashed on Earth. Everyone was talking about it. In New York City, people crowded around big screens in Times Square. They watched as the president spoke on TV. "My fellow Americans and citizens of the world," she said, looking serious. "Last night, we made contact with an extraterrestrial being." People gasped and whispered. Some looked scared, others excited. The president continued. "The alien ship crashed in a forest. It is now in our custody, along with its pilot. We are doing our best to communicate with it." In his lab, Tom watched the speech with wide eyes. "Sarah," he whispered, "is this why you disappeared?" He tried calling her again, but her phone was still off. Meanwhile, in the secret military base, Sarah was busy. She worked with a team of scientists, trying to understand the Blargan alien. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a drawing the alien made. "I think it's showing us a map of the galaxy." The alien nodded its triangular head. It pointed to a small dot on the edge of the map. "That must be us," Sarah said. "Earth." Then the alien drew two big shapes, like angry faces. It made fighting motions with its four arms. "A war," Sarah realized. "It's trying to tell us about a war in space." The general in charge frowned. "Are we in danger?" he asked. Before Sarah could answer, alarms started blaring. A soldier ran in, looking panicked. "Sir," he shouted, "there's a giant spaceship appearing over Washington, D.C." Everyone rushed to the monitors. Sure enough, a massive ship had appeared in the sky over the Capitol. It was shaped like a glowing blue donut. "It's Zorax," the Blargan alien said in broken English. It had been learning fast. "He, protector." In space, Zorax took a deep breath. His ship hovered over Washington, D.C., visible to everyone. "Bleep," he said to his robot friend. "Send the message." All over Earth, TVs, radios, and phones suddenly changed. Zorax's face appeared on every screen. "People of Earth," he said in a calm voice, "do not be afraid. We come in peace." In Millbrook, Sarah's parents hugged each other as they watched. In New York, Tom dropped his coffee mug in shock. Zorax continued, "I am Zorax, Galactic Consul. We have been protecting your planet for a long time. But now, I must warn you. A great war is coming, and Earth is in danger." Around the world, people listened in amazement and fear. In the military base, the general turned to Sarah. "Did you know about this?" he demanded. Sarah shook her head, just as surprised as everyone else. Zorax's message went on, explaining about the war between the Blargans and Zygots. He talked about how his team had been hiding Earth, trying to keep it safe. "But now," Zorax said, "you have been discovered. We can no longer hide you. We must work together to protect Earth and bring peace to the galaxy." As Zorax finished speaking, the world erupted in talk. In the United Nations, leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to welcome the aliens. Others didn't trust them. "How do we know this isn't a trick?" the Russian president shouted. "Maybe they want to conquer us. But they've been protecting us," the Canadian Prime Minister argued back. "We should listen to them." On social media, #AliensAreReal became the top trend. People shared their thoughts and fears. At Sci-Fi tweeted, "I knew it. We're not alone. This is so cool." At Worried Mom posted, "What does this mean for our children? Will they be safe?" #AlienInvasion. Religious leaders tried to calm their followers. Scientists excitedly planned new studies. Military generals worried about Earth's defenses. Back in the secret base, Sarah finally got to call Tom. "Sarah," Tom shouted when he answered. "Are you okay? What's going on?" "I'm fine, Tom," Sarah said. "But everything's changing. I'm working with the alien. We're learning so much." Tom listened as Sarah explained what she knew. "This is big," he said when she finished. "Really big." "I know," Sarah replied. "But think about it, Tom. All the science we'll learn. All the new technologies." As they talked, Zorax's ship remained over Washington. World leaders were invited aboard to meet him. The President of the United States went first. As she entered Zorax's ship, cameras flashed. It was a historic moment. Zorax greeted her warmly. "Thank you for coming," he said. "We have much to discuss." The President nodded. "Yes, we do. The people of Earth have many questions, and I will answer them all," Zorax promised. "But first, we must prepare. The Blargans and Zygots will come. We must be ready." As the President and Zorax began their talk, the world held its breath. Everything was changing. Nothing would ever be the same. Earth had entered the galactic stage, and everyone was talking about what would happen next. Earth gets ready. 3 months had passed since Zorax revealed himself to Earth. The world had changed a lot. Now, everyone was getting ready for what might come next. In New York City, Sarah and Tom walked into their new lab. It wasn't just their lab anymore. Scientists from all over the world worked there now, and they had some very special helpers. "Good morning, Glix," Sarah said to a tall, blue alien with 4 eyes. Glix waved 2 of its 3 arms. "Good morning, Sarah and Tom. Are you ready to continue our work on the energy shield?" Tom nodded excitedly. "You bet. I think we're close to a breakthrough." All around the world, scenes like this were happening. Humans and aliens worked together, sharing knowledge and technology. In a secret military base in the desert, soldiers trained with new weapons. These weren't ordinary guns. They shot beams of light that could melt metal. General Johnson watched the training with a serious face. A small green alien stood next to him, taking notes on a strange tablet. "How long until all our troops are ready, Zeb?" the general asked. Zeb, the alien, thought for a moment. "At this rate, 2 more weeks. Your humans learn very fast." The general nodded. "We have to. The enemy could come any day." High above the Earth, in a new space station, Zorax looked out at the stars. Earth's first space fleet floated nearby. The ships were a mix of human and alien technology. Bleak beaked a question at Zorax. Yes, old friend, Zorax said. Earth has come so far, so fast. But will it be enough? Just then, an alarm sounded. A human-alien team rushed to check the long-range sensors. Sir, a human officer called out, we've detected a Blargan fleet entering the solar system. Zorax's 3 eyes widened. So it begins, he said quietly. He turned to the team. Alert Earth's defenses. It's time to see if we're ready. On Earth, sirens began to wail in every city. People had practiced for this. They knew what to do. In London, families calmly went to underground shelters. In Tokyo, workers left their offices and headed to safe zones. In Rio de Janeiro, beachgoers quickly packed up and moved inland. World leaders gathered in a special bunker. The President of the United States looked at her allies on big screens. This is not a drill, she said firmly. The enemy is here. Are we ready? The other leaders nodded. They had all worked hard for this moment. China's energy shield is operational, said the Chinese president. Europe's fleet is launching now, added the German chancellor. Australia's early warning system is active, reported the Australian Prime Minister. In their lab, Sarah and Tom rushed to finish their work. They had been developing a special communication device. It could send messages faster than light. Just a few more adjustments, Sarah muttered, her fingers flying over the controls. Suddenly, the device lit up. It was working. We did it, Tom shouted. He grabbed a microphone. This is Earth Lab 1. The FTL communicator is online. We can now coordinate with all our forces instantly. Cheers erupted around the lab. Humans and aliens hugged each other. This could change everything. In space, Zorax received the news. He smiled for the first time in days. Well done, Earth, he said. You never cease to amaze me. The Blargan fleet grew closer. Earth's ships moved to meet them. This would be the planet's first space battle. On the flagship, a human captain stood next to an alien co-captain. They looked at each other and nodded. They were ready. All ships, this is Captain Chen, the human said into the radio. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Earth is counting on us. Good luck, everyone. As the two fleets neared each other, people on Earth held their breath. In homes, in bunkers, in labs, and in command centers, they waited. Zorax watched from the space station. Oh, Bleep, he said softly. I hope we've done enough. I hope Earth is truly ready. Bleep beeped encouragingly. The first shots were fired. Beams of energy crisscrossed space. Earth's fleet moved in perfect formation, just as they had practiced. The battle for Earth had begun. Everything they had worked for in the past 3 months was being put to the test. As the fight raged in space, Sarah and Tom watched from their lab window. They could see flashes of light in the night sky. Do you think we'll win? Tom asked nervously. Sarah squeezed his hand. I don't know, she said. But I do know one thing. Earth is ready. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. They turned back to their work. There was still so much to do. Earth was fighting its first space battle. But this was just the beginning. The galaxy was at war, and Earth was ready to play its part. Earth surprises everyone. The space battle raged on. Earth's fleet, a mix of human and alien ships, fought bravely against the Blargan attackers. But they were losing ground. In the command center on Earth, world leaders watched anxiously. The big screens showed their ships blinking out one by one. We're outgunned, the American president said, her face grim. We need a new plan. Just then, Sarah and Tom burst into the room. They looked tired but excited. We have an idea. Sarah shouted, but it's risky. The leaders turned to them. We're listening, said the Chinese president. Tom stepped forward. We've been working on a way to use our FTL communicator as a weapon, he explained. If we can overload it, we might be able to create a massive energy pulse. Sarah nodded. It could disable the Blargan ships. But what? Asked the Russian president. But it might also hurt our own fleet, Sarah finished. The room went quiet. It was a big risk. Zorax, who had been listening from the space station, spoke up on the big screen. It's worth a try, he said. I've never seen anything like this before. The Blargans won't expect it. The world leaders looked at each other. Finally, the American president nodded. Do it, she said. Sarah and Tom raced back to their lab. Aliens and humans worked together, quickly modifying the FTL communicator. In space, the battle was getting worse. Earth's ships were nearly surrounded. Hang on, Captain Chen shouted to her crew. Help is coming. Suddenly, her alien co-captain pointed at the screen. Look, he said. The Zygots are here. A new fleet appeared. The squid-like Zygot ships joined the attack, but they weren't firing at Earth. They were attacking the Blargans. On the space station, Zorax was confused. Why are the Zygots helping us? He wondered. Back in the lab, Sarah and Tom were ready. Okay, Sarah said into her radio. We're about to activate the pulse. All ships, brace for impact. Tom took a deep breath. Here goes nothing, he said, and pressed the button. A huge wave of energy burst from Earth. It raced across space, washing over all the ships. For a moment, everything went quiet. Then, one by one, the Blargan ships started to drift. Their lights went out. They were powerless. But so were Earth's ships and the Zygots. In the command center, everyone held their breath. Had it worked? Slowly, Earth's ships started to come back online. The humans and aliens had planned for this. They were ready. The Blargan ships were still dark. The Zygots were just starting to recover. Now's our chance, Zorax shouted from the space station. Capture the Blargan ships before they can restart. Earth's fleet sprang into action. They surrounded the helpless Blargan ships, taking control. As the dust settled, everyone realized what had happened. Earth had won its first space battle. Cheers erupted around the world. In cities, in bunkers, in labs, people hugged and cried with joy. But there were still questions. Why had the Zygots helped? What would happen now? A message came in from the Zygot fleet. Their leader, a big squid-like alien, appeared on the screens. People of Earth, the Zygot leader said, we are impressed. You have shown great bravery and cleverness. We wish to talk peace. Everyone was shocked. Zorax couldn't believe it. The Zygots want peace. He said, Earth, you've done the impossible. The world leaders quickly agreed to meet with the Zygots. On the space station, humans, Zygots, and other aliens gathered. Sarah and Tom were invited too. As they entered the meeting room, aliens of all shapes and sizes turned to look at them. The Pulse creators, one alien said with awe. How did you think of such a weapon? Sarah smiled. It wasn't supposed to be a weapon, she said. It was a communication device. We just used it differently. The aliens muttered in amazement. Humans were full of surprises. As the peace talks began, Zorax pulled Sarah and Tom aside. You've changed everything, he said. Earth was supposed to be a small, hidden planet. Now you're the center of the galaxy. Tom looked embarrassed. We were just trying to survive, he said. Zorax nodded. That's what makes humans special, he said. You don't just survive. You surprise everyone. You make the impossible possible. As they turned back to the meeting, Sarah saw the Earth through a window. It looked small and blue from space. We did it, she whispered. We saved Earth. Tom squeezed her hand. We did more than that, he said. We brought peace to the galaxy. Zorax smiled at them. Yes, he said. And this is just the beginning. Who knows what other surprises Earth will bring to the universe? As the peace talks continued, everyone knew one thing for sure. The galaxy would never be the same. Earth had surprised everyone, even itself, and the greatest adventures were still to come.